Okay, the clock is really ticking, isn't it? We're just days out from this potential July 9th deadline. And there's talk of new tariffs, some potentially hitting, what, 50%? It really makes you think, is this, the start of another trade war
Yeah.
or maybe just more high-stakes talks?
That's exactly the heart of it today. We're going to dive deep into this. You've gathered some really insightful sources on President Trump's proposed tariff policy. So our mission really is to pull out the key pieces of information for you, just so you can quickly get a handle on the specifics, the global reactions, and what economists are actually saying. Yeah, getting you informed fast. That's the goal.
All right, let's jump right in then. First big thing from the sources looks like there's no extension coming for that 90-day pause from back in April. Trump seems pretty firm on July 9th. Does that signal, confidence? Or is it more about leverage?
It feels like maybe a bit of both. But honestly, the scale of the proposed rates is what really jumps out. We're looking at potentially 10% on general imports.
Okay.
But then it climbs, right? 25% on autos and parts, another 25% on steel and aluminum. And here's a really big one. Possibly up to 55% on goods from China.
55%, that's huge.
It is. And the key takeaway here isn't just the direct cost, It's the uncertainty it creates everywhere. Just think about a small company, maybe electronics, relying on one specific chip from China. A 55% tariff isn't just an added cost. It could totally upend their whole business model. They'd have to scramble, find alternatives, or raise prices significantly. That's the ripple effect we're talking about.
Right, that kind of widespread impact naturally makes you look at the diplomatic side. So how are the global negotiations holding up with these potential tariffs hanging over everything? Sources seem to suggest it's a bit of a mixed bag, which, well, maybe isn't too surprising.
A mixed bag is a good way to put it.
Yeah.
On one hand, you've got some deals already sorted, like with the UK apparently, and even a specific rare earths deal with China.
Okay, so some progress. But what's the toughest part of the ongoing talks, especially with this deadline pressure?
Well, the sources point out the talks are still very much ongoing with major partners. Think the EU, India, Canada. The White House has sort of hinted there might be some wiggle room on the deadline, but only for, quote, good faith partners.
Ah, good faith.
Yes.
So if you're showing progress, maybe you get a pass.
Exactly. It adds this layer of strategic ambiguity, doesn't it? Makes every conversation really critical right now.
Okay, so pivoting to the economy and, market feelings. It's kind of strange. Despite all this tariff talk, the stock markets have been, well, remarkably resilient. The S&P is near record highs, isn't it?
It is, yeah. Holding strong.
But that's where it gets interesting, because the markets seem okay, but economists, they seem to be waving some serious red flags. What are they worried about?
And that's a crucial point. The market's calm might suggest investors are banking on a deal happening, or maybe they think it's more of a negotiating tactic, a bluff, rather than a definite long-term plan. But economists, they're definitely sounding alarms. They're concerned these tariffs could really push up inflation.
By making imports pricier, right.
Exactly. And that could lead central banks to raise interest rates to fight that inflation. Plus, it could strengthen the dollar, which sounds good, but actually makes U.S. exports more expensive for other countries. Kind of undermines the whole trade goal.
Ironic.
It is. But there's also this fascinating counter-argument. Some experts, like those from Apollo mentioned in the sources, suggest that strategic tariffs could actually work. Their thinking is targeted tariffs might not only bring in domestic revenue, maybe funding other things, but also act as a really strong bargaining chip, forcing trade partners into deals that are, more favorable to the U.S. A calculated risk, essentially.
So quite a complex picture. We've covered the looming July 9th deadline, the potential tariff rates anywhere from 10% generally up to that huge 55% on Chinese goods.
Yeah.
And we've seen the global talks are this mix of done deals and really tense ongoing negotiations.
Right.
And then there's the economy, the stock market, holding steady while economists warn about inflation, interest rates, but also that argument for tariffs as a strategic tool.
Yeah, the tension between those different views on the economic fallout is, wow, it's really fascinating. And it raises a big question, really, for you listening. If these tariffs actually happen, fully implemented, who really wins in the end? And maybe more importantly, who actually ends up bearing the cost of this whole economic gamble? Definitely something to mull over as we watch these next few days play out.